got a size advantage. The Hound's going to struggle against her. It's just
Israel back in the game now. Michael Tucker.
As always, should have been a foul call.
Marcus is wide open.
Hey, what's up, Loyola, and welcome back to the Sixth Man Report. I'm your host, Rob Fredrickson, and joining me is my co-host, Brendan Highland. And Brendan, the men's team had a great night on Friday night. There's no doubt about it. It was the big game against Iona in Reitz Arena. The stadium was packed. Reitz Arena it was crazy, to say the least. It was definitely crazy, but they won 87-81. It was a great game. They really took it to them in the first half and held them off. Unfortunately, that did propel them into first place, but they weren't able to hold on to it. The past two games, they lost to Marist and Fairfield. But let's talk about that Iona game real quick and talk about the highlights and really what made that team. Brendan, why don't you take from there?
Well, really, Rob, I think that it really started with Eric Etherly. The forward had 22 points, 10 rebounds. He came out strong and early. Missed a dunk, actually, real early in the game, but he rebounded, had a few other monster slams that made the crowd go wild. He played very well. Dylan Cormier also played really well. He had 22 points as well. Shot the ball very well from the outside. Played very good defense on Scott Machado and Momo Jones, which we'll talk about later. But I want to talk about the guys off the bench, Justin Drummond and Jordan Latham. Justin came in, added 17 points off the bench in 23 minutes, shot 8 of 12 from the field, straight up was giving people buckets, doing his thing.
Shot lights out.
Right, and Latham, he only played 14 minutes, but Rob, he had 4 blocks, he altered a lot of shots, and he really battled with Michael Glover of Iona. And when Shane Walker got in foul trouble for us, Jordan came in, he held his own, he played well, he gave a lot of good energy, and I like to see it out of him.
Yeah, and Jordan Latham, like, he really, I mean, like you said, Michael Glover, he took over the game at the end of the game.
Boy, too.
And I think that was stopping him in the first half was so huge because we saw how dominant of a player he could have been in the throughout the entire game in the second half.
Right.
Towards the end, he really touched the ball down the block every single play. But Jordan Latham, coming up huge with those blocks, it was really impressive. The team shot 51% from the field. It was great shooting all night. Offensively, they really killed it.
I think the other thing that Jordan does for us is when he plays well, he gives us another big body to throw in there against guys like Glover, because now you add him in there with Eric and Shane. It's a nice three big rotation that we got that we can use against teams.
Yeah, and like you said, Eric Etherly, the way he came out in the second half that was unbelievable. Eric with all those N1s in the second half, that was awesome. And once again, 13 offensive rebounds. Brendan, the team, we know they're leading in the MAC in offensive rebounding, and the hustle points continue, and they did it again in the Iona game. And once again, it really made a difference. But like we said, they have suffered 2 losses in a row since the Iona game. They lost to Fairfield on Sunday in Reitz. And I'm going to say, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it was a hangover game. They came off from a huge game on Friday.
Right.
They had the crowd behind them, and, maybe it's just
it's hard to get up for another game like that when you're on such an emotional high.
Exactly.
The whole school is really behind you. It almost feels like you're invincible.
Right.
And from what I wasn't at the game, I was actually out of town, but from what I've heard, Fairfield just shot the ball lights out. We only shot 28% from the field in the second half. So, I mean, I want to kind of give them a pass. Maybe just say that they were just off. Like you said, the hangover, but I don't want that to
continue. Exactly. And it was unfortunate that they were in Marist last night. That was Wednesday night. And once again, they kind of dropped the ball, the team. It's coming down to the stretch, boys, so we want you to, keep it up. And we're not losing hope by any means at all. It's a long season, and we still have the championships to go. But once again, the team shot 31%, and I think it's the fact that they shot 51% against Iona, that's why we won. And now we shot 28% and 31%. You can't shoot that poorly from the field and expect to win games.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I would just say, to piggyback kind of on the Iona game, is in the second half of the Iona game, we were up 71-48, and then Iona went on a big run and cut it to 8. Well, last night against Marist, we were up going into half 29-23. Then it was tied at 47 at one point. Marist ended the game on a 25-7 run. And that's, I mean, the scoreboard may not be indicative of how close the game was up until that point, but guys, this can't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean to sound, negative or what have you, but I think that the team thinks, and I know you think, this is a championship caliber team.
Yes, it definitely is.
And we can't afford to have let-ups like that.
And I think if it goes down to it, the team is playing so well in that first half. They played so well in the first 10 minutes of the second half. and they're just moving the ball. They play nice and loose.
Right.
It seems like when they get into the last 10 minutes, they kind of tighten up. They want to, pick out the best shots instead of just playing their game and running the floor. And when they get up on down that floor, we're one of the most dangerous teams. We really are. We know how to run the floor.
And I think almost to a certain degree, at least against Iona, it almost seemed like at points we were playing to almost not to lose rather than playing to win. And I think that is kind of a big thing that we see oftentimes, but really we saw it firsthand last night anyway.
Yeah, and it was even an issue in the Ryder game too a couple weeks ago where we kind of started letting them come back in the second half. So I think if there was something to improve on for the team, it's maybe just close out those games, keep attacking till the very end, and just don't let them even come back. But congratulations to Eric Etherly. He was named the MAC Player of the Week for tremendous play throughout the week. We saw it in that game, 22-10, and he was just an animal on the boards, just down in the low post, just killing it. And we're going to talk about the team they're going to need a bounce-back game now. There's no doubt about it. They had 2 consecutive losses. So their next game is the bracket buster game where they play Boston University. It's here in Reeds on Sunday at 12 o'clock. Brendan, what do we need to do to beat this team?
Well, really, Rob, I think that it all starts on the defensive end. BU, they're averaging 65 points a game, so that's not great. But at the same time, I mean, I'm hoping that they don't even touch 60, really.
Right.
And they have some sharpshooting wings. They have a player on their team, Daryl. His last name escapes me right now, but he averages 20 a game. He's a 6'6" wing. He's a transfer from LaSalle. He's a good player. There's no doubt about it. But I think that we have the pieces defensively, guys like Drummond, guys like Olsen, guys like Dylan Cormier that can get after him defensively and kind of cause him fits and give him some trouble.
Yeah. So that's a big game on Sunday, and Loyola, there's only 3 games left before the MAC championships now. So let's keep rooting for, super fans, keep it up, keep heading to the games, supporting the team. And then it's going to be in Massachusetts at the Mass Mutual Center, the championship. So I think as many fans as we can, we should try and get up there. It's over spring break. I think that'd be a great time to check out Massachusetts and go support the team. And I think that could be a fun tournament for us and that's where we can make our move into the NCAA tournament.
And hopefully. I know, just on a side note, I know that the tournament's in Springfield. Basketball Hall of Fame is in Springfield, so if you want to make a trip out of it, feel free. Head up the Hall of Fame, head up the MAC Championship, see the Hounds take it home.
Could be a great spring break.
It would be a great spring break.
All right, Brendan, let's hop into the women's basketball team now. And they just continue to roll. They're on a hot streak. They beat Iona on the same night as the men, and then they actually beat Fairfield on the Sunday, and that improves their winning streak to 5 now. And now they're 8-6 in the conference, and they're tied for 3rd in the conference. What does this mean for the women's team?
Well, I think right now we talked about last week how they were getting hot at the right time. We talked about Carol Marshall last week. This week is Marion McKenzie. She was named MAC Player of the Week. And, Rob, I think that so many times we saw it this year in a different sport, but the Super Bowl, the Giants got hot at the right time and carried them through the playoffs. Maybe this is what's happening to the women's basketball team. Getting hot at the right time at the end of the season, just before the MAC tournament, can ride that hot streak into the tournament. Who knows? Maybe win the tournament, get an NCAA bid, or at least go far in the tournament, make some noise.
Yeah, and we know that the girls had a great season last year, making it to the NIT tournament and winning a game there. So, I mean, there's no doubt about it. If they stay hot, the girls stay hot, and like we said, Marion McKenzie just made Player of the Week for MAC, and that's the senior leadership there, and we have the freshman Kara Marshall who's been killing it as well. So like Brendan said, you stay hot, Lady Hounds, and the sky's the limit for you. Hopefully, you can make a run in the MAC championship as well. But Brendan, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've always heard there's always been a saying that my father kind of gave to me. It's not how good are you, it's when are you good. And right now, the girls team is proving it's just that. It's when are you good. And they're good at the right time.
Yeah, it's very true. But let's hop into another sport right now. We have men's and women's lacrosse starting up their seasons on this Saturday, and this is our other big Division I sport, Brendan. So I think everybody's getting kind of excited for the lacrosse season. The men will be hosting Delaware at home at Ridley, and the men, they got a tough matchup. Delaware's ranked 19th in the country. Like you told me, they're already 2-0, and this is a huge game. Ridley is a beautiful stadium. I know people love to go out for these games. What do you think about this game, Brendan?
I'm excited for this game. Scott Ratliff, who's a junior midfielder, and Mike Sawyer, who's a junior attackman, they were both named preseason All-Conference. Sawyer was actually getting honorable mention preseason All-American looks. He led the team in points last year. I'm really excited to see how much energy this team comes out with. They finished strong last year. They're hosting a very good opponent in Delaware who is 2-0 and was really dominant in their first 2 games. They have some all-conference performers as well. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, I think that it's going to mean a lot to this team if they can start the season off with a few wins.
Yeah, and the team, you know, there's a team with seniority here. There's some leadership on the team. So I think the Greyhounds definitely have a chance to make a run this year and maybe get into those rankings. They're not there yet, but there's definitely a possibility they could get there. We know we've been there before, boys. So, you know, just start the season off right and keep it going.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the women's team also, Brendan. Now, this is a team that they're known nationally.
They're formidable.
They're actually going to Virginia, who's ranked number 10 in the country. But that's nothing because we're ranked number 7 in the country. So, you know, my only thoughts are we going to win a national championship this year, Brendan? What do you think?
I mean, I think we got a shot. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but at the same time, I do want to be very confident. This is a very good team. Been here before. We have plenty of experienced players. I know we lost Grace Gavin from last year's team, but we have plenty of players to fill the void, a lot of talent. I think the main thing is going to be, do they gel and do they, I guess, withstand the expectations that are placed upon them? And I think that they will.
I think they will too. You know, the girls' team has been putting out a great team in the past few years, and I think this could be the time. Who knows? I mean, Loyola, our athletic program in each sport has been really improving year upon year. And, you know, I think we're waiting for a team that gets some national recognition. And if it's the girls lacrosse team, that would be amazing for Loyola.
Right.
Well, Loyola, that will wrap up this six-man report. You know, just keep going those basketball games, support those teams. And now we got lacrosse season starting up, so we got a whole new team, 2 more teams to root for.
Lacrosse game on Saturday, basketball game on Sunday. Everybody should be at both games.
Big weekend, Loyola. We'll catch you next week.